come here to chew bubblegum.
You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum, recorded from a secret location in the city that moves mountains.
We come in peace.
How's it going today, Cronkite?
Well, it's going pretty good, Goose. How are you?
I am doing good. We had a great show last week. We've had a lot of feedback.
We certainly did.
And I apologize in advance of those listeners that did write in, and we didn't get a chance to read those emails. We will definitely read those in future shows.
Definitely.
But people really like the Art Bell Tribute Show. And I'll be honest, that's one of my favorite shows that we have done so far.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably one of the better ones we've actually put together, I think.
Okay. Well, you were going to say something else, and you stopped.
I was going to say something else, but I don't want to make it. I don't want to be negative.
I could tell that by the look in your eye.
It's one of the better ones that we've just kind of slung together.
We don't sling them together.
I know. That's why I stopped.
I am professional.
I am too.
Before we get started with the show, do you want to go ahead and touch your mic or anything, and we'll get that out of the way early? I was just joking. Please stop. Okay. Please stop.
Right.
Okay.
But in all seriousness, though, before we do get started, I want to send a big shout out, happy birthday to our very own Ned.
Ned, the producer, 32 years old. Right, Ned? 32. That's right. 32.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, Ned. Do you want to sing happy birthday to Ned?
No, that's okay.
Okay, good. I am glad because I know you didn't bring a bucket with you.
Yeah, no, that's
to carry a tune in.
No, certainly not.
Before we go any further, I do want to tell everyone about a new podcast that I've been listening to. It's called Talk Junkie.
Oh, yeah.
With Justin Perkins. And if you get a chance, be sure to check that out. It's on Spotify. That's where I listen to it. Again, it's Talk Junkie with Justin Perkins. He's a good friend of our show, and he will actually be on the show at some point.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a great listen. Go check it out.
Yes, it is. Do you want to start out with some email?
Sure do. Debbie says, I live in your area and actually started listening last week. I'm a longtime Art Bell fan, and I remember his passing well. It felt like a member of my family had died. Art kept me entertained for most of my life. He is still truly missed, and with shows like yours, he will never be forgotten. Keep up the great job, and there's no doubt in my mind that you will be very successful at it. God bless you both.
Well, thank you very much, Debbie. That is a very, very kind email. And like I said, we do have a lot of feedback, a lot of listeners. And I'll be honest, I'm shocked that many people listened to Art Bell in our area. Because I used to mention Art Bell before years ago, and people would be like, Who are you talking about?
Yeah, but, the thing is, though, that the people that like Art Bell and that like shows like ours are going to be drawn to our show, especially now that we've been advertising it.
Definitely. My email is from So Today. Mm-hmm. Awesome show, guys. Art would be proud. Just wish you would have got into talking about Mel's Hole. And I actually thought about doing that one. Do you know the story with Mel's Hole?
I don't.
Okay, there was a guy named Mel, and he found this huge hole. And this took place in the state of Washington, in the Seattle area. He was on Art's show a couple of times, but when we do another Art Bell tribute show, and we'll do it, closer to his birthday, we'll do a second one. Mel's Hole, when he actually tried to take people to show them what he was talking about, they couldn't find it.
Really?
And he was saying that he'd forgot where it was at. And people did a record search, and there was never anybody by his name. Mel was an alias, but there was never anybody by his name that actually owned property in the area he was talking about.
Oh, wow.
So through my investigation, I have determined that sadly was not real, but we will definitely talk about that on our next Art Bell Tribute show.
Ratliff says, thanks for reading my email on the show. I still pinch myself and can't believe you guys are local. You get better each week. Here to Chew Bubblegum rules. You always bring the ear candy. Well, get used to it, Ratliff. We are here.
And thank you very much. And if you see Cronkite out in public and you want to pinch him, you just go right ahead.
Yeah, sir. Well, I mean,
he loves that.
Identify yourself first. I'm Ratliff.
And then
pinch. Yeah.
Okay. Eric says, hey, Goose and Cronkite, disclosure is coming and coming sooner than people will realize. Keep fighting the good fight and searching for the truth, Roswell.
Definitely. Brett says, hello, Goose and Cronkite. Have any of you guys ever seen the photos of Mars when the sky is bluish? Roswell.
Yes, they posted those, towards the end of last week, I guess. I saw those last weekend. Fascinating.
It's wild.
Oh, very, very fascinating. Ashley says, hello, here to Chew Bubblegum. Great show last week. Art would be proud. There is no doubt in my mind that he was listening and looking down at you guys from above Roswell.
Definitely. I hope so.
Thank you very much, Ashley, for that comment.
Jay says, I just wanted to thank you guys for entertaining us last week and having a great Art Bell tribute show. It brought back so many wonderful memories. Thank you to WXLR for having Here to Chew Bubblegum show on your station.
Well, thank you very much. The Ultimate Art Bell fan says, Goose and Cronkite, your tribute show was amazing. Great tribute to the late, great Art Bell. And that was from the Ultimate Art Bell fan.
Ooh,
so, I mean, just his name tells about what a good...
you want to touch your mic again?
What a good...
You want to move it around? You want to hit the cord?
Sorry. That was the first time that I've ever did that,
ridiculous. I can't work under these conditions.
That is the first time that I've ever did that. We're going to talk about, in segment 1 here, we're going to talk about some Kentucky mysteries.
All right.
So, as I mention some of these and tell you about them, if you have any questions or comments, anything to say, please stop me and jump right in.
Okay.
All right. The first one we're going to talk about is the Kentucky Devil Monkeys. Have you heard of this before?
No, I believe that would stay in my mind about devil monkeys.
Are you sure?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay. 3 to 4 feet tall. Okay. They're excessively hairy and vicious. Devil monkeys have been reported in southeastern states for decades, resembling baboon with dog-like faces. Devil monkeys are also reported to have strong legs like a kangaroo. They have 3-toed feet and a long, bushy tail. What do you think about that? You know, just from opening up and describing them, that sounds a little bit like you.
It does. Yeah, I mean, I am 3 feet 6 inches tall.
The first reported encounter of this swift, dangerous predator occurred in 1934 in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. According to reports that were allegedly published in the national newspapers, eyewitnesses described a mysterious beast that could leap across fields with lightning speed. This ability to jump great distances up to 20 feet, according to some accounts, have led some to speculate that these animals may have something in common with kangaroos that have been seen throughout the United States for decades. What do you think about that?
I've never heard of those, and I've never seen one. I believe if I'd seen one, I would...
You would definitely remember it.
I would freak out a little bit, probably.
In Kentucky, the most famous devil monkey encounter occurred in 1973 when farmers near Albany, Kentucky reported 3 of these black primates that had slaughtered livestock. No devil monkeys were ever captured.
Now, okay, so you said...
And that happened in 1973.
So there was 3 together, so like
yes.
They hunt in a pack, or
yes.
is it just...
Evidently they do, yes, they hunt in a pack. Now, are you curious to know the last known Kentucky sighting of the devil monkeys?
Yes.
It was reported by a man named Rocky V., who was 63 years old. He was the only witness to the encounter, and the location of the sighting was near the Mammoth Cave State Park, and it happened on August 1st, 2018.
Really?
Yes. What you believe the creature was, the man was asked. He said it was a man-sized white furry creature standing on the side of the road at night. He goes on to explain that he was coming home from the golf course that he works at a little bit just after dark on Kentucky Highway 728 / the Nolan Dam Road, just after Briar Creek Road, when he saw something white on the left side of the road. He thought to himself it was a goat, and then maybe it was a dog. But the closer he got, he seen that it was on its hind legs. It was tall, maybe 6 to 6.5 feet tall, and solid white. It looked like it was very well groomed, but I think it was in sort of a fear reflex because it never moved, and its face was stuck in a snarl. He said that he did notice its large teeth, its tail, and it was bent like a monkey. He said it had beautiful fur, a pinkish tan face, but he didn't notice the eyes. It also had muscular legs, not like the legs of an ordinary man, and a very lean torso. He didn't notice the ears. As he was on his way home, I didn't think to stop. Plus, this was big and menacing. I didn't think about it until the next day, and at first I thought it could have been a dog. But then I Googled what I'd seen and saw a rough picture drawn next to Pine Barrens logo. When I saw that, a flash went off and all the senses left me confused. Not sure what I saw. Has anyone else seen anything like this recently? He says in that article. And he also goes on to end the article by saying, given the fact that there are 12.4 million acres of forest in our state, it's not out of the question that a troop of balloon-like primates may have found a home in the woods of old Kentucky.
That's very true. And, what's interesting about that is it's close to the cave system where there have been other sightings of other short creatures, however that one was tall.
Yeah, that one was tall, so evidently that one's grown. That was a devil ape.
That could be.
Who knows?
A devil ape instead of a devil monkey. I got you. I see where you went with that.
But if any of our listeners have heard of that, have saw anything, or if you want to contact us, how can they do that, Cronkite?
Well, you can always call, text, or leave a voicemail by reaching out 606-373-3396, or you can email goose@heretochewbubblegum.com or cronkite@heretochewbubblegum.com. You can reach Ned or Elliott by reaching out to heretochewbubblegum@yahoo.com. In the subject line, attention Ned or Elliott. We also have a Facebook page, a Twitter, and Instagram, TikTok. Do we have Instagram yet? We have TikTok.
We have TikTok. Yes, we do have Instagram, and TikTok is very, very addicting.
Yeah, it certainly is. Somebody has found the TikTok one.
Yes, I have definitely found the TikTok. We're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about a UFO sighting near Whitesburg, Kentucky. We're not going to talk about the whole story because it's several pages, but I briefly want to mention this.
Okay.
This occurred on July 15th, 1965. Got anything to say about that? Any jokes? Any old people jokes? Jokes about me?
It was your prom, wasn't it? Senior prom.
Funny.
No, that would have been in the middle of summer. You were on your way to summer camp. You were a counselor. It's your senior year. 4-H camp.
If I was a counselor and you were in camp, I think I would drown you. A friend and I were traveling south on US 119 near Whitesburg. We observed a red glow ahead. About 1 mile later, we were directly opposite the glow. This is a steep mountainous terrain road, and we were at river level, and the glow was on the mountain. The glow was on the mountain. There was probably 800 feet high. The glow appeared to be along the top of the ridge and appeared to be 200 to 300 feet wide. It extended down the side of the mountain for approximately a third of the way to the bottom, which would be approximately 300 feet. It didn't illuminate anything, but it was just a vivid, soft red glow. At times, there were white lights about the same size, and the brilliance of these lights were those to the brightest stars in the sky, and they would move around the edge of the glow. At times, you could hear what sounded like human voices, but the words you couldn't distinguish. Also, we heard what sounded like a metal-on-metal pounding. That would be like the humming or things that people have described in the past when they see a UFO or UAP. Correct?
I would think so, yeah.
No, when you saw yours before, did you hear anything like that?
Well, no, but I was some distance away.
Right.
And at one time, I was in a vehicle with the radio going, so I would have heard it.
Right. This story goes on to say, at one point, a powerful spotlight illuminated us briefly and just a small area around us. The beam came up from the top of the mountain, which would have been about 1,000 feet. My friend wanted to go to Whitesburg about 2 miles and get a friend of ours who was an attorney so we could show him what we were talking about. We did that, but the time that we got back, the glow was not as vivid, and if I remember correctly, we could not hear any more sound. As we watched the glow disappear, it just kept getting dimmer and dimmer. Many cars came by and intrigued as to what we were looking at. The next day, my friend and I traveled to the top of the ridge to see if there were any signs of activity. It was very rough terrain with many huge boulders and heavily wooded. In order to get across the scene, we had to travel a short distance north, cross the river on the highway bridge, and walk down a railroad track about 300 yards to go straight up the hill. After getting back to the railroad track, we met a young man who had lived nearby, and he was about 15 years old. He had a rifle on his shoulder. We told him what we had seen the night before, and we were trying to figure out what it was. He knew what it was. He replied, "Oh, you saw the flying saucer."
Wow.
And again, that sighting happened in Whitesburg, Kentucky on July 15th, 1965.
You know, those mountains over there, they're creepy.
Yes, they are.
Like
and I've been doing some research on Pine Mountain because we had a email on our podcast show where a guy had messaged in, and he had basically said what he'd heard there was a secret laboratory in
there was a cave opening, I think, or an opening at the top of the mountain that was supposed to be so many hundred feet.
And a friend of his dad's had dropped a flashlight down the hole, and he disappeared, and he never heard it hit the bottom.
Did you ever find anything about that?
No, I've been doing some research on that. That's something that we'll be talking about upcoming.
Okay.
Do you want to hear about some more UFO cases?
I sure do.
Before we switch gears and start talking about something else in segment one.
I sure do.
Let's see. Do you want to hear about Millstone, Kentucky, or Elkhorn City?
Elkhorn City.
Okay. Now, why did you pick Elkhorn City?
Because it's closer, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Because Millstone's in Letcher County. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I'd never heard of Millstone, so I didn't know.
Now you do.
But you had your Millstone ready. That's.
Oh, well,
you should have just read it. I'm sorry.
Hey, no, you're fine. This Elkhorn City reported sighting occurred on August 23rd, 2008 at 10 p.m. Bright lights blinking on a hillside at Kettle Camp near Elkhorn City. I saw 4 different ones. This lasted about 45 minutes. I first noticed silverly brilliant lights blinking up on a hillside. They seemed to be behind a tree. Light rose out of the tree, went right up the other side of the mountain. The light, when moving, had a red glow and was blinking. A red glow. Similar to what we just read that the people observed in Whitesburg in 1965.
And as the crow flies, that's not that far of a distance.
It's not far at all. Let's see here. Then the light came back and traveled down to our house, then vanished. No sounds were heard, no motors, no engines. There were some heavy winds just before we saw these lights. Then there were 2 more lights. One was above the other one. They sat for a while, blinking silverly lights back and forth. Then one went in the same direction as the first. After a short time, the other one did the same thing. The dogs on both sides of the hill were barking. At first, the dogs then quit barking when the lights were first seen. The dogs on the side of the hill stopped barking, like I said, when the lights were first seen, after the lights passed by them. There was a soft glow when we saw the first lights. After the 4th light left, the glow was gone, and the dogs watched with us in amazement. And there's a P.S. on this. It says, upon investigation, I discovered many unusual footprints that were not human or animal.
Oh, wow.
2 days later, the mine that this occurred at was sold and shut down, and no one is allowed on that property anymore.
Very interesting.
So, that is a sighting that happened near I guess at the time, an active deep mine.
And was sold there directly after.
Yes, and you do know what they used to help get in deeper into the mountain, correct? Explosives.
Yes.
And we've talked about before that UFOs seem to be attracted to power plants, army bases with nuclear capability, bodies of water, weapons, bodies of water. What I found interesting about that story is that the description of that was basically very similar to the one that happened in Whitesburg.
Oh, yes.
In 1965.
Very much so. And also if it was a deep mine, a lot of our research seems to be showing that that these sightings are happening around cave systems and underground areas. Maybe our friends aren't above ground dwellers, perhaps, or
Definitely. Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to have Elliott's articles. We're going to have a new Ned Said, and when we come back, you're going to be talking about what?
We'll be talking about the 27 Club. Have you ever heard about that?
A little bit. I know a little bit about the 27 Club.
Well, let me ask you this before we go to break.
Okay.
Would you sell your soul to the devil?
No, I would not.
For fame and fortune?
Never.
Okay.
Never. Would you?
Of course not.
Okay.
Obviously not. Look at me.
And we're also, after you talk about the 27 Club, if we have time, we're going to talk about the Lizard Man of Letcher County and some confusing forest reports that were conducted in 2016 in the Daniel Boone National Forest.
Okay. Interesting.
It's very interesting. You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
When you want fresh, authentic Mexican food, you want El Picante in Coal Run. Dine on sizzling hot fajitas, the freshest pico de gallo, or if you're craving their secret ingredient jalapeno dip, the only place you'll find it is El Picante. Look, there are Mexican restaurants on every corner. The difference is in the mouth-watering food and the great service you'll get at El Picante in Coal Run. Visit El Picante for lunch today.
Greetings.
We come in peace.
The City of Coal Run Village Mayor Andrew Scott and City Commissioners Beverly Jo Osborne, Big Joe Atkins, Trey Deskins, and Mike Steele encourage you to shop local.
With over 200 businesses, the City of Coal Run Village offers games, restaurants, gas, auto parts, cars, and much more.
You'll find all of this and more in the City of Coal Run Village. Shop local and shop often.
It's now time for Ned Said on Here to Chew Bubblegum.
Hunting unicorns is legal in Michigan.
You can always call, text, or leave a voicemail for Here to Chew Bubblegum, 606-373-3396. You can also send an email to goose@heretochewbubblegum.com or cronkite@heretochewbubblegum.com. Researching the inner workings of the net to bring you stories of the strange and unusual. It's Elliott's Articles on Here to Chew Bubblegum. Take it away, Elliott.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you may be listening. Once again, this is Elliott with Elliott's Articles on the Here to Chew Bubblegum podcast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, last week we talked about Roswell, and I looked at what many call the official timeline of what happened. But how has it been explained? I mean, surely there was an article in the newspaper that said the Army had captured a flying disc. That's pretty black and white, right? Well, the Army says no, that was actually mistaken, and today we're going to talk about a couple of different things that have happened since then. But before we get into that, dear listeners, I just want to get a little personal with you. For the last 4 or 5 nights, I've been waking up, going to sleep at a pretty normal time. I do have a regular job. And I've been waking up around in between 3 and 3:30 every night for whatever reason. It's not something I usually do. I've heard of the witching hour, and I've heard that 3 o'clock is about the time that paranormal events happen. So I'm just asking, has anybody out there been doing the same thing? Have you all had this recently? I hear a lot of people, especially chatter online, of people talking about, weird dreams and all waking up at the same time. So I put this question to you, dear listeners. Have you all been experiencing any of this? Let me know. Contact me at here to chew bubblegum at yahoo.com. Make sure you put Elliott in the subject line, and they will make sure that I get that message. Now let's talk about a little bit of Roswell once again. So as everybody knows, Roswell happened in 1947, but we didn't get a real official answer until 1994. We'd been told it was a weather balloon, but that story didn't, it didn't hold water. I'm a skeptic. I think I've said this before. I don't take UFO stories at face value. I think there is a terrestrial reasoning behind them. Now, am I saying that there's no such thing as aliens? Absolutely not. This universe is too huge. There has to be something out there. But I think a lot of the stuff that we see on Earth is probably got a earthly reason behind it. So I tend to skew that way when I talk about UFOs and aliens. When it comes to Roswell, I do not believe any of the official stories. My skepticism does not go towards the aliens. It actually goes towards the government. Because in 1994, they released an explanation saying that the Roswell crash was really something called Project Mogul. Now, Project Mogul was a device that was basically a high-altitude balloon that had microphones equipped all around it, and it was going to fly close to the USSR to detect sound waves at a stealth distance, okay? So it was basically out there monitoring if the Soviet Union was testing atomic bombs. Project Mogul, of course, if this was the case, you could understand why they needed to cover up its crash. But the thing that a lot of people don't understand is Project Mogul was pretty well known at the time. I mean, they had even discussed it openly. It was just under a different name. So Project Mogul, to me, doesn't really hold water, like I said. There's other elements of Roswell, too, that doesn't make sense. Eyewitnesses claim to have saw small gray bodies. And, of course, the government, in a follow-up report to their 1994 report, said that these were actually parachute test dummies that had been sent along with that balloon. Again, why, if you are trying to monitor atomic bombs in Russia, would you need parachute test dummies? So it seems like the government is contradicting their own story there. It's very covert, and I understand that. But to say that, oh yes, this was a balloon that was monitoring, the Soviet Union and their use of atomic bombs, that we just happened to put, parachute test dummies in, does not make sense. It's also been floated out there that maybe this was some sort of ship sent by Russia, sent by Joseph Stalin to induce panic in America. It's been said that there were maybe even children who were deformed that were put inside this, and it was crashed on purpose. Again, we've already been through so much in history with Russia, and so much has already been declassified. You would think that if this was the case, the American government would want that story out there. It's not, of course. So again, I don't believe this. Now, like I said, it's kind of I'm very skeptical. I know that Jesse Marcel Jr. said that his dad, when he brought the metallic material in, that it had what he thought was Egyptian hieroglyphics on it. And some people will point to that and say, well, that was really, the Russian alphabet, the Cyrillic alphabet. But it just doesn't, it doesn't pass the smell test with me. I don't really think the Russians had anything to do with it. Now, with that said, here's the other thing that I think of when I think about Roswell. There was so much going on in that area. Los Alamos was very, very close. They were testing V2 rockets at White Sands, which also was pretty close. as I mentioned earlier, the group at Roswell Air Force Base, that was pretty much a nuclear Air Force base. They were involved, the 509th Bomb Group were actually involved in the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it doesn't make sense for the government to say, here are these things, these are balloons put in the paper, these are a flying disc or whatever. You don't really want to draw attention to that, to that group of people. So the Roswell case, to me, out of all the UFO cases, besides maybe Rendlesham Forest, which I hope to cover one day, but out of all of the UFO cases that I've ever, had looked at or watched or read about or listened to, Roswell is the one that I think probably has the best chance of being real. I think there's just so much that the government would not want to be out there that is. And I just think that out of all of them, it has the biggest chance of being correct. Before I go, we had a listener, I think, write in. If I'm mistaken by that, please, Goose, let the listeners know. But the person wanted to know what got each of us, that would be Goose, Cronkite, Ned, and myself, into the paranormal or, what we're into now. And looking back on it, I think the biggest thing that led me down the path, so to say, was the movie Ghostbusters. Absolutely my number one favorite movie of all time. It's to this day, if it's on television or if I pass it by, I have to sit down and watch it. It's just my favorite thing in the world. So yeah, Ghostbusters. I think that's the biggest one for me. So with that being said, dear listeners, please keep your suggestions for topics coming. Please email me, talk to me. I would love to have an open dialogue with you guys. I want to talk about what you want to listen to. So please let me know, as much as you can. Also, really looking forward. We've talked about a roundtable show. I know some listeners have looked forward to that. And hopefully I'll get to be in the studio with Goose and Cronkite and Ned and maybe some other guests, and we can talk about different things. So yeah, if you've been experiencing weird things, like I mentioned at the beginning of the article, please contact me. Let me know. Let's talk about it. Contact Goose, contact Cronkite, let them know. If you've got any kind of topic you want me to discuss, contact me. Let me know at heretochewbubblegum@yahoo.com. Make sure you put attention Elliott in the subject line. They'll make sure I get the message. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you all have had a great weekend, weekday, whatever time you're listening. Stay vigilant. Keep watching. Elliott out.
And welcome back to Here to Chew Bubblegum. I am Goose. The man across from the table, as always, is Cronkite.
Hello.
Hello. If anybody listening wants to contact us, it's easy to do. All you have to do is call 606-373-3396 and leave a voicemail. We'll play that on the show. Keep it clean. Maybe we will even call you back while we're recording the show.
That's always exciting when we get to call people.
I like calling people in places, and sometimes we have luck, sometimes we don't.
Yes.
You can also email us, Goose at heretochewbubblegum.com or Cronkite at heretochewbubblegum.com. You can email Ned or Elliott at heretochewbubblegum@yahoo.com. Just put attention Ned or Elliott in the subject line. How did I do on that?
That sounds pretty good. You're almost a Cronkite level.
Good. Well, I try every show to be Cronkite level and bring it.
You're almost there.
Okay,
you're almost there.
Thank you very much.
Speaking from the man himself.
Okay. Well, thank you. So you're going to talk about Club 27, correct?
It's called the 27 Club.
Okay.
And it's not a club that you want to be a part of.
Okay.
But you remember the question I asked you? Would you sell your soul to the devil
Yes.
for fame and fortune?
Yes.
Well,
No, I would not.
That is kind of one of the beliefs behind what I want to talk about.
The 27 Club.
Yeah, so the 27 Club is basically a club where popular musicians make it to the age of 27 and they die.
Now, are they all musicians, or are they actors or famous folk? Or?
It goes musicians, mostly musicians, but musicians, artists, actors, athletes.
Okay.
There's a lot of death around the 27-year mark for some reason.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people have claimed that it's, they've sold their soul for the devil, or that, just their lifestyle has caught up with them, or whatever. Either way, it is a very strange coincidence that at 27, you have over 50 musicians have passed.
Yeah, that is very strange.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
The 27 Club includes popular musicians, artists, actors, and athletes, I just said that, who have died at the age of 27, often as a result of drug and alcohol abuse or violent means such as homicide, suicide, or transportation-related accidents. The deaths of several 27-year-old popular musicians between 69 and 71 led to the belief that the deaths are more common at this age. Statistical studies have failed to find any unusual pattern of musician deaths at this age, comparing it equally to small increases at the age of 25, 32, and studying noting instead that young adult musicians have a higher death rate as the rest of the young population, including fame may increase the risk of death among musicians, but this risk is not limited to the age of 27.
Right.
But what we're talking about is the age of 27 because there is such a high number
of the entertainers dying at that age.
Yes. So the club has been repeatedly cited in music magazines, journals, and the daily press. Several exhibitions have been devoted to the idea, as well as novels, films, and stage plays. There have been many theories and speculations about the causes of such early deaths and their possible connections. 4 years before the BMJ study was published, Cobain and Hendrix biographer Charles R. Cross wrote, "The number of musicians who died at 27 is truly remarkable by any standard. Humans die regularly at all ages. There is a statistical spike for musicians who die at 27. Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Jim Morrison all died at the age of 27 between 69 and 71. At the time, the coincidence gave rise to some comment, but it was not until Kurt Cobain's 1994 death at the age of 27 that the idea of the 27 Club began to catch on to its perception."
Now, I do remember his death. That was like in February, I think, of '94.
Yes.
And there's a lot of controversy surrounding his death.
Yes.
Have you done any research on that? Some people claim that his wife paid a hitman to take him out. That's a conspiracy theory.
I got choked up.
That is okay. Allergy season.
Yes, certainly is. Now, I've heard that his wife or herself actually pulled the trigger. Heard that, of course, it was suicide. I did not hear the hitman story, though.
Yeah, I have read that one online. And then, and it's been several years ago that I researched this. I've heard that maybe the record company had it done.
That's possible.
So,
yeah, very possible. Now, he died like right before or right after one of their albums came out, right?
He died right after, I think, their second album came out.
Okay. Now, a popular blues musician, Robert Johnson, do you know who that is?
Oh, yeah, Crossroads.
Yeah, so he was the first one that really kind of started bringing attention to the 27th Club, and he died in 1938.
Yeah.
So he's the earliest person that was included in the member of the 27 Club.
No, there's a lot of movies, too, based on his life and his pact that he supposedly had.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Let me ask you a question, though, and I'm going to be totally honest before you go any farther.
Okay.
Do you believe that somebody can actually do that to get a special talent? I don't. I call BS on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
I call BS on it.
Either way, I mean, so have you ever some of the Illuminati conspiracies, right? And that they control pop culture and stuff like that.
Well, have you heard the latest one? You can go to Google, type in Illuminati backwards, and it brings up the FBI is the first hit.
Really?
Yeah, that is a new one. You can go to Google, type in Illuminati backwards, and your first hit is like the FBI, and I think the second is the NSA, or it may be the NSA and the FBI.
Wow.
So,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, but kind of, I guess what I was getting at there is the Illuminati with pop culture. The conspiracy surrounding the Illuminati with pop culture is that these people are they make deals with these kids.
Yes.
And as they grow up, they get the proper chances, I suppose, to make it big.
Right.
But they're indebted. They're indebted, supposedly, to the Illuminati.
I think, people are born with a gift. Each one of us on this planet is born with a gift, something that we can do. And it may not be the same thing, For some people, let's take like Robert Johnson. He's really good at the guitar. Some people, it may be really good at mathematics. I don't think you can physically make a deal and gain that. I just find that nonsense. And I know people that probably think that I think aliens exist. Well, how can you think that? That's nonsense. That's just my belief.
It's probably more. That's probably more likely to be the case. Aliens existing than getting special talents.
Yeah.
So in 2011, 17 years after Cobain's death, Amy Winehouse, do you remember her?
Yes.
She died at the age of 27, prompting a renewed swell of media attention devoted to the club once again.
Yeah, but she was on drugs. She had the song Rehab. They try to make me go to rehab. I say, no. Good job, Cronkite.
Keep going.
You nailed that on her.
No, keep going.
That was you, man.
Yeah, but I mean, name one of these musicians I'm getting ready to read to you that wasn't on.
Elvis.
He's not on here. An individual does not necessarily have to be a musician to qualify as a member of the 27th Club, or the 27 Club. Rolling Stone included television actor Jonathan Brandis, who committed suicide in 2003, in a list of members of the 27 Club. Anton Yelchin, who was played in a punk rock band but was primarily known as a film actor, was also described as a member of the club upon his death in 2016. Likewise, John Michael, you know what?
Francois?
Jean-Michel, we'll just call that.
Jean-Michel.
Has been included in the 27 Club list despite the relative brevity of his music career.
Now, what did John Michael do? What was his musical contribution?
That I'm not sure.
Okay.
I didn't research the actual musicians themselves.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Should I have?
No.
Because we would be here all night.
No.
50 of them.
Not at
50
all.
of them. So,
was there anybody else that's interested on that list that you want to?
Yeah. So I'll go. I'm going to keep reading my facts here real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about who's on this list.
So we're just going to have dead air. Or do you want me to go ahead and talk about something while you're doing that?
No. I've got it right here.
I'm going to go ahead. Okay.
Yeah,
go right ahead.
I've already got it pulled up.
Oh, touche, my friend.
Yeah. So if rock music is shrouded in any myth, supernatural phenomenon, then all fingers point to the 27th Club or 27 Club. Avid lovers of rock music must know about this club. It is not really a true club as such. It actually refers to a group of rock and roll musicians who died at the age of 27. This list is pretty long, and precisely why the mystery of the 27 Clubs keeps fascinating us. Is there something supernatural? Is it the devil's business? Blah, blah, blah. And that's where the conspiracy, and that's why there's really something around this. Literally no one knows, and all we know is that some truly great names like Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, and more are associated with the club. So dying at the age of 27 may not seem uncanny, but when the death toll of musicians go over 50, there is no wonder why people will have their eyebrows raised in suspicion. Many press, journals, and music magazines have repeatedly cited the 27th Club, as to no wonder that several movies, stage plays, and novels have been used as the club as their central theme. British Medical Journal published a study in 2011, I'm assuming right after Amy Winehouse passed, where it was stated that there was no evidence of risk of death increasing for musicians at the age of 27. The study did mention that probability of death of sampled musicians of their 20s and 30s was definitely high, but in no way could it be deduced that they would die at the age of 27. So why are all of these people dying at 27? Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Alan Wilson, and Brian Jones all died at the age of 27 between 1969 and 1971. The possibility of any kind of connection between their ages of death was kept away from public press. The idea of the 27 Club became a focal point of public press after the death of Kurt Cobain almost 25 years later. Now there was a couple of these guys, their deaths, there were no autopsy performed. for some reason.
I wonder why.
Yeah, it is strange. Many conspiracy theories actually say that Cobain committed suicide simply because he wanted to join the 27 Club. What do you think about that?
Somebody that had fought like he had to get to the point that he had, why would you want to kill yourself? Now, at the same time, and I mean no disrespect, their first big hit, Smells Like Teen Spirit, I could not understand what he was saying. Could you?
No.
And, I don't know. People think that once you hit it big time, it's all easy and downhill, but people still have demons to battle, whether it's drugs, depression, suicidal tendencies, whatever it may be.
Well, definitely. Look at Robin Williams. Very sad situation.
Very, very sad situation.
So
I don't know enough about the Kurt Cobain theory, conspiracy theory, or backstory to really form an opinion. I would just say if he did tell people he was going to do that, and that's why I done it, and missed out on his daughter growing up, and I think he's stupid and selfish.
Yep, definitely. So after Amy Winehouse passed, she had actually expressed the fear of dying at 27 3 days prior to her death.
Okay.
3 days.
Okay.
So after Robert Johnson died in 1938, legend grew over time that Robert had a pact with the devil. It is being said that Robert wanted to become a famous blues musician, and one night he took his guitar to Dockery Plantation at midnight, where the devil tuned his guitar and played a few songs and returned it to Robert. Since then, Robert quickly mastered the instrument and became one of the most popular blues musicians. So people say that Robert gave his soul to the devil in exchange of popularity, and that the devil found 27 was a good age to take Robert. Now,
some of the Robert Johnson stuff I've listened to is really, really good. Really good. I mean, there's no doubt he could play.
A lot of these people were 27 is the height of your career.
Yeah.
A lot of the people were taken, if that's what's happened here, a pact with the devil, taken at the height of their career. Sorry.
Oh, it's no problem.
Quit hitting your mic.
It's no problem.
So would you like a list of...
Sure. Give us some more there.
So Alexandria Levy, 1892, unknown cause of death.
I have not heard of them.
Unknown cause of death.
Must be classical music.
Louis Chauvin, 1908.
I have heard of that name before.
Robert Johnson, 1938.
Heard of him.
He possibly died of strychnine poisoning. Nate Jaffe, Jaffe.
I've not heard that name before.
Jesse Belvin, 1960. Rudy Lewis, 1964. Malcolm Hale, 1968.
I've heard of that name before.
Which one?
Malcolm Hale.
All right. Dickie Pride, heard of him?
Yes.
1969. Brian Jones, 1969. Alan Blind Owl Wilson, 1970. Jimi Hendrix, 1970. Janis Joplin, 1970. R. Lester Dyke Christian, 1970. Jim Morrison, 71. Linda Jones, 72. Leslie Harvey, 72. Ron McKernan.
Okay. Is there any from the 80s?
Jacob Miller, 1980.
Jacob Miller.
D. Boone, 1985. Alexander Bashlachev.
Okay.
My dad is going to be so mad at me for butchering these names. The Jean Michael that I was talking about, 1988. Speedball OD.
Okay. Does it say what band he was in or what song? Or?
It doesn't. It does not.
1988, you said?
Mm-hmm. And then we're into the 90s. Mia Zapata.
Yeah.
Do you know who that?
I think it was that Frank Zappa? Did you say Zappa or Zapata?
Zapata.
Oh, no, I've not heard of that one.
1993. Kurt Cobain, 94. Christian Pfaff, 94. Richard Edwards, 95. Fat Pat. Do you know who Fat Pat is? Was
that one of the Fat Boys?
I think it was Fat Pat.
No, seriously, one of the Fat Boys, the rap group.
Could be.
You don't know?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't really listen to rap music though,
okay.
So I mean I couldn't.
Okay.
And now some of these don't sound. I mean some of these names I do know,
right,
but some of them
right.
I don't. He died in 98. See if there's anybody that really kind of stands out. Other than Amy Winehouse, Richard Turner in 11, Brian Otteson in 05, Jeremy Michael Ward in 03. Maria Sereno, 2001.
I've heard of that name.
And I mean, it's just interesting that there's that many names that popular figures. Daggone, stop touching your microphone, would you, Goose?
Yeah, I will try.
We'll put my hands down here.
But fascinating, Club 27. Tell our listeners what they can do to contact us.
Well, if you want to contact us, you can always text, call, or leave a voicemail, 606-373-3396. You can email Goose at heretotchewbubblegum.com or myself, Cronkite, at heretotchewbubblegum.com. You can reach out to Ned or Elliott, heretotchewbubblegum at yahoo.com, subject line, attention Ned or Elliott.
Moving on, the Lizard Man of Letcher County.
That's exciting. That's a good title.
Several people have reported seeing a lizard walking upright that was about 6 to 7 feet tall and behaved like a man. A lizard man. All of these reports have been placed this lizard man in the same location, Pine Mountain in Letcher County.
There's that creepy mountain again.
Pine Mountain is one of the few mountains that has no coal and is interesting for a few geological factors. Pine Mountain is a 125-mile area that forms the first ridges of the Appalachian Mountains. Pine Mountain is one of the few mountains in the area without coal, but it does have limestone depositories, which upon the coal's industry's decline have been sought after by other industrial resource companies. Pine Mountain is home to the ice beetle cave, which doesn't live anywhere else in the world. Pine Mountain is also one of the largest tracts of land of intact continuous forest remaining in Kentucky. It represents a critical migratory corridor for many animals, including bears, salamanders, flying squirrels, and rattlesnakes. This is an area that is untouched by industry, so it is known as a good place for unknown species to stay, hide, and live.
Well, that's interesting. I've never heard of the ice beetle.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the only place you could find
We'll have to do a little bit more research on that. And another thing I've got here. Now, 30 searches have been conducted in 2016 for people reported to have been missing or delayed in the Daniel Boone National Forest. There are very old legends of this area that tell people that this forest has plants that have a defense against people. Had you ever heard of this?
Just from the movie, The Happening, I think is what it was called.
Okay, did that take place in Kentucky?
It did not take place around. Well, yeah, technically, it took place everywhere in the world.
What? You're talking about the Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, what was it called? The Happening.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the only. I thought it was. Just kind of made up.
No, evidently, according to this story, these are real, and these plants are in the Daniel Boone National Forest, and these plants are supposed to have a chemical on them that leaves their stem, and if people interact with it, it will make them confused and disoriented. The old legends tell of the plants moving and purposely touching people to make them confused and lost in the forest. It is also said plants use this defense to get food for themselves, making the people or animals so confused they cannot remember where they are, and they just sit down and die. Now, I can't remember what website I got that off of. I think it was like the Bison Institute. I will have that for you on next week's show. But I think it's fascinating because if that is true and there are plants like that in the Daniel Boone National Forest, that would explain why hikers do get lost.
Yes.
While some people are never found. And as that story started out, the 30 searches have been conducted since 2016 for people missing or delayed. So, it sounds to me like you've got a lot of people going in there that may not be skilled and are getting lost.
And it never said what type of plant that was.
No, it did not.
Now, okay, so I'm wondering if it's I wonder if the plant's kind of like a Venus flytrap. Is it carnivorous, or will it eat people?
It didn't say.
All right, well, that's kind of strange. Everything is connected, Goose.
Yes,
what did I tell you?
It is.
I mean, everything is connected. That these vines are actually moving to poison people.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
we live in a strange world.
Yes, we do.
And if you don't believe that, open your eyes. We live in a very strange world.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We've got a few minutes left. What do you think about this hollow Earth theory?
I think it's bogus.
Because you can go ahead and laugh. I've watched some TikTok videos of people talking about the hollow Earth. Now, before you shake your head no, have you seen some of the NASA photographs?
Of what?
The North Pole entrance.
The North Pole entrance?
Well, the top of the globe. Not globe, but the top of the planet.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen pictures of the Arctic. What is there?
Okay.
There's an entrance. Is that what you're saying?
It looks like in some of these NASA photos that there's a big hole in the main top. And there's this one guy on TikTok that talks about, and we're going to talk about this on this show or the podcast show sometime very soon, probably next Sunday on this show. There's a guy, I can't think of his username, but he's reading out of a encyclopedia it's 1958.
Okay.
After 58, he claims that the government had him take out all this stuff. But just to paraphrase what it says that I guess Admiral Byrd was the last one or the first one that discovered, and that there is a possible dome in Antarctica. So, and from some of the NASA pictures, it looks like there is a big hole, like right in the center. So, now I'm not saying I believe it, I definitely don't think the Earth's flat. So
sure.
I'm not one of those people. I'm not saying it's hollow. I'm just saying it's a fascinating subject to research.
Well, now what I will say is, as far as going to the hollow Earth theories, no, I don't buy that. But it is interesting in that we don't really know much about the center of the planet. We speculate everything that we know, everything that we think that we know about the inner core, the outer core, the mantle, is kind of speculation.
Well, something I think is interesting is why, no private person is allowed at Antarctica.
Yeah, that is strange.
Why all these countries came together and they said, okay, nobody owns this. We're going to keep this for scientific study. This is off limits to the public. What did they find?
That is strange. Yeah, I'd say there's something there, big time.
There has to be. I mean, there has to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to the disclosure date, or not the disclosure date, but the countdown. This June when they're supposed to release all the records that they know. And
is it June 1st?
June 1st, yes.
We are simply less than 2 months away.
And let's hope nothing happens until then, and they actually come clean and tell the truth.
Absolutely. Do you think they will? Or do you think they will dance around it?
I think they'll put them out there. Because, like we've discussed last April, they did come out and release those videos. And they said, this is not anything from our planet that could be doing this. So now, is it little green men? Is it this? Is it that? I don't necessarily think they're little green men. I think that if alien life has been made, as we have made contact with alien life, I think their physical appearance is going to be adapted to their environment.
Sure, yes. Definitely.
So I think that they'll look a little bit different, but I think we'll have some similarities. It's just the universe is too big for it to be, us the only life form here.
Yeah, definitely.
And real quick, I'm not going to go in depth on this, but if anybody has any free time, Google the James Webb Space Telescope.
James Webb Space Telescope.
Yeah, all you have to do is Google that. The James Webb Space Telescope. And this is going to be fascinating. And this kind of connects to a story that we talked about on last week's show, that we briefly touched on the Art Bell Tribute Show, the coronavisor. Mm-hmm. So just everybody, if they want something just to do, if they're bored, Google James Webb Space Telescope.
Very cool.
Well, that'll do it for this week. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks, everyone, for writing in, for supporting us. That'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
Lily.
Thanks for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into things the government doesn't want us to know.